Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get your Kenn Bosak.
And we're live, guys.
All right.
Hello, Mike Chat.
Off we go.
Yo.
Yeah, boy, right into the deep end.
Welcome to our metaverse.
Yeah, I don't know why Facebook isn't working right now on my end. Let me see. I'm gonna go check over here and see what it says on Restream, because that's what I'm using.
Maybe just didn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't click
disconnected.
it. Oh no,
No.
I just for some reason didn't click it. I don't know why that was. That's a bummer. Anyway, we're live everywhere. Appreciate everybody for clicking the Restream link. If you're watching this and it's not my social, it's because Restream has a really cool link. So if you're watching this on one of your friends' social media accounts, just know that they clicked the link for me so they could share out, the podcast. It's the new meta. As always, I'm with my co-host, Miggy Crypto Live. How goes it?
Howdy, y'all. It's going. We here. We're ready, and we're cartoons.
All right. Well, Jeff's still in reality. He's like breaking the fourth wall here.
Yeah,
It's like Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say, me being in reality, that's up for debate as well. So, um, at least one of the 13 voices in my head is probably in reality, but the other ones are kind of on their own.
It's like it reminds me of have you ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, a while ago, yeah.
Yes, it's like that. The worlds collide where the Toon world is part of the real world and vice versa.
Right. Although I don't think I look near as good as that as the rabbit that was in there.
uh,
That's awesome.
All right, guys. So I guess let's jump into it. It is a Monday, a hell of a Monday. The weekend was crazy. All these celebrity tokens are going nuts. I guess before we jump into talking with Jeff real quick, Miggy, you want to update us on the what's going on in the meme token world here in Solana season or Solana summer season? Like, you
Oh
got your finger
man.
on the pulse. It's nuts right now.
It is getting a little crazy out there. I'm not usually one to really get into the meme stuff. But lately, the big news was we had celebrities coming in and making tokens, which I personally am not the biggest fan of, only because, in my previous experience, this past decade, the celebrity endorsements of crypto have not gone so well for the community. So Caitlyn Jenner launched a token, which they pivoted from Solana because of some type of, a scam that somebody else ran, which you can't see my finger air quotes, but they're there. And they're going to ETH now, which I absolutely hate even more. 100% sure Caitlyn Jenner token is a scam. Don't buy it. Soldier Boy's token, probably not a scam, but his Web3 projects suck. I bought a little bit of those. But super excited though for Iggy Azalea. I was totally on the opposing end of her token mother. Kind of the same boat as the other tokens. Just not a big fan of seeing these celebrities come in, especially after a period of irrelevancy, which I love Iggy, but all these celebrities, they weren't really relevant until they made these tokens. Had the opportunity to kind of dig into Iggy's project and follow her. And after much fudding, I finally got a response from her. And then I found out, some people that I know are running her Telegram. So that gave me a little bit of confidence. And I went ahead and bought some mother. And now I am a mother lover. And I think, as far as the celebrity meme token space, if anybody has an opportunity to do something good, I think it might be Iggy Azalea. But I'm still a little skeptical just because, I am a true degen. I do DYOR. I didn't put in much into Mother. I just think, with at least her being so active on the spaces and, commenting and doing all this stuff, we'll see what happens. But man, meme coins with celebrities are going crazy right now. Please, please, please be careful. Don't spend money that you don't need to spend. And just get in early, take your profits, and get the hell out. That's all I say.
Hey, speaking of meme coins, we have another guest. We have Jeff, and as well as Jeff, we have Kyle Kemper. How goes it, bro?
Yo,
Yo, what's up, guys? Doing really, really
Kyle.
great. Can you hear me?
Speaking from the
Yeah.
ether, we hear you, but we don't, I just see your name floating. That's awesome.
Okay, I'm trying to get the fire. Ken said it was gonna be a fireside chat, so
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the fire going.
We need to get a
Awesome.
fireside environment in the metaverse here. All right, well, while you're setting that up, Kyle, I'm going to give Jeff the chance to introduce himself to the audience. Let him, let everybody know a little bit about himself and where they can go to follow him and get involved with what he's up to.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having me on, and I think this is going to be a fun conversation. I'm the founder and CEO of the Laughing Otter. We are a entertainment brand that focuses on positive, fun, exciting, and content and experiences. But we're very heavily involved in Web3. We got a number of projects that are under the Laughing Otter brand and banner that we're pretty excited about, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment here. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and we'll see where this conversation goes.
I like the name Laughing Otter. Where does that come from? Is that just like two random words out of the dictionary, or is there like a story behind it?
There is a bit of a story, and it was a little, well, more than a little bit by design. I was working with a marketing agency, which was a huge mistake. But we were trying to come up with the name, and they kept coming back with really stupid names like Positiviadio or something like that nobody could ever say or remember. And always in the back of my head, I'm like, we need a character like Mickey Mouse, something that can be used in multiple areas, opens it up for everything from NFTs to merchandise to animations or whatever. So I had it in my head, I needed an animal, and I just Googled the world's cutest animals, and the sea otter came up as the first one. And then the caption was like a loving community, fun, playful animal or something like that. And I went, shit, that's about perfect. And so I landed very quickly on otter, and then I just started searching for available names like, the red otter, the orange otter, the happy otter, the laughing otter. And just so happened that the laughingotter.com was still available. And so we ended with the Laughing Otter, and it's amazing. One real pleasant surprise about it all is I have discovered that there's a lot of people in this world that have a real affinity for sea otters. Like, I personally never thought about them one way or the other until people started telling me, oh, that's my favorite animal. And geez, I love them. I watch videos all the time about them. So, all right.
Well, they are one of my favorite to visit at the zoo. They're definitely the most entertaining when it goes to, like, when you're at the zoo and you're looking for entertainment value, just, smoke a little bit and go watch the otters, play, because they actually have personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and that really fit with the vision of the Laughing Otter, of this, bringing community and people together and just having fun. And that's pretty cool. And you're right. Like, you go to the zoo and 90% of the animals are just kind of sleeping.
Yep. I love zoos. So, I'm a big zoo fan, man. I get like season passes, and I like to go all the time. I like, just like walking around, and then the scenery of like all the animals and stuff is pretty dope.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So
Kyle, that's where the name came from. Sorry?
No, I just see Kyle. He looks like the boogeyman. The way the shadow is. It's so
yeah. I gotta get real close to the fire here.
Well, don't get
literally
too close.
Talking about the fireside.
Yeah, dude. Don't get too close.
Don't get too close. You might get burned, right?
The way you're jumping around there just reminds me of my 6-year-old on the couch, crawling in and under a blanket and out of a blanket and jumping on me. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, well, road here, guys. I'm currently lakeside outside of Bentonville, Arkansas, and we've been on the road. I saw Miggy. I saw you and Kenn in Austin at Consensus, and after that we went to a regenerative farm in just outside of San Antonio, and then we went to Dallas, and we're hanging out with Primetime 99 Alex Stein, which was a pretty awesome time. And then now we're making our way a little bit north, and just out here campaigning for Bobby Kennedy and raising awareness for the third option this year, the man who's actually qualified for the job. And and then there's also the bus and the tours being sponsored by the Bobby token, which is a meme token around Bobby Kennedy. And so that's what's going on here. Happy to kind of answer any questions or dive in or explore, whatever you guys want to take this. I'm down.
That's awesome.
Wait a minute.
Well, why don't we give some of our...
time out. The bus is funded by the DAO from the meme token?
That's right.
That is freaking awesome. Oh, I almost wish you weren't in the metaverse so Jeff could see this. Jeff, have you seen the Kennedy bus that Kyle was driving around?
No, I'm purposely, for my own sanity, trying to avoid the whole thing. It's
I feel that. I can dig that. I've been trying to distance myself from the political world as well, but crypto is so overlapping this season. It's getting harder and harder to be in crypto and not get into politics in some way, fashion, or another. I mean, it's the unfortunate side of crypto mainstream mass adoption. You know, politics is part of the mainstream, and the adoption wave. It's the necessary evil, I'd say, and I'm happy that we have some crypto-friendly politicians getting into,
I mean, it's right in the root,
conversation.
right of the word. Like, this idea that, like, being involved in politics is like, I just want to stay away. It's become so divisive. And even like the root of the word politics is polis, which means that there's the citizen, and it's about civic engagement. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I have 6 children, and I'm interested in assuring that we can bring about the best futures possible for them. And, having come from a political family and being kind of, fortunate to, understand this realm in this area and understand, like, macro as well as micro policy. I think there's just like, the direction that things have been going, and the anger and the divisiveness and the siloing of humanity there's something wrong there. And when I listened to Bobby last year, I was like, man, this guy is awesome. Like, he actually is like kind of qualified for the job, and he's not a career politician. And everybody seems to be like totally fed up of the 2-party system. Literally, this campsite right here, 2 guys just walked by, like, some serious Arkansas like campers, and they're like, oh yeah, like anybody's better than the 2 choices. So it's like, it's actually like, gone to that point, and like the 2 parties are out. And and then that's interesting this year is it's like, that now we got the meme tokens all up in here. And I saw like, the mega token is like, over $500 million market cap, and it's got a tax, and it's donated over $2 million towards towards human trafficking and veterans. Like, so like meme tokens can fuel a lot of good. And like the Bobby token, it's got a 2% tax, and 1% of the tax is going to go to Bobby's Ballot Freedom Fund, which is a legal defense fund to make sure that Americans have the choice and the opportunity to benefit. So it's a coin with purpose. And then the other 1% is going towards funding grassroots initiatives like the bus, trying to encourage more people to activate
really cool.
the bus.
I didn't expect the bus to be funded by the token. Yo, Jeff, what are your thoughts on, like, the fucking idiocracy direction that all this seems to be going, man? It, like, I feel like it started with 4chan, but it's like Satoshi's fault if you really want to. This is all your fault, Satoshi, if you're still listening.
I think everything you say about the polarization and everything is crazy, but the irony of it all is it doesn't matter what party you support. The majority of voters, whether it's in the States or elsewhere, all pretty much agree on the same things. It's only the extremes of every political system or every political party, and this is globally. I'm Canadian, but I live in Australia. It's the same shit there. It's the ones who get the voice are the ones that are really extreme, where everybody that I've met from all over the world, whether they're here liberal or labor or Democratic or Republican or independent, whatever, everybody pretty much just wants to be left alone, go to work, get paid, have a beer on the weekend, watch their favorite team, and then work towards retirement and just not piss anybody else off and just be left alone. That's where most people sit, regardless of which policy. But then you have the extremes of every system that basically make all the noise, and then it creates the rest of us to think that we're more polarized than we are, when reality is we're all pretty much the same. And that's, I've had the privilege to travel around the world a fair bit, and work and live in other countries. And the fundamental difference between everybody that I meet is nothing. Everybody's the same. Like, it's like we focus on the 3% that makes us different, and not the 97% that makes us the same. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was on a TV show, and we were in Solomon Islands, which is a rather developing island, and we were in these remote villages. And one of the other cast members is like, "Gee, their life is so much different than ours." And I go, "Is it really?" So watch that kid and that mother over there. And because the kid was excited, we had camera crews there, and there was visitors to the village, and the kids, and the mother's trying to get him to put on his best clothes, and the kid won't listen. And I'm like, you know what? That 7-year-old over there is just the same as mine. And it's like, there's no difference. Kids don't listen when they're excited. Parents get frustrated. Like, like we're all just human, and we got to stop just finding reasons to hate each other, which is absolute just asinine. You were talking about the memes with a purpose. We got something super exciting happening at the Laughing Otter that I like. Kind of speaks to how I view the world. We're doing what's called a toast for peace, and I did this about 20 years ago. About 15 years ago. And I got, before Web3 and before I knew anything about marketing or social media, I got about 20,000 people around the world to raise a glass and to say, "Here's to no more war." And this time we're going to do it right. And we're going to, it's either going to be the 3rd of August or the 10th of August. We're still deciding on which day. At 9 p.m., everybody's going to get together and make that same toast. And
Nice.
To support it, we're launching a series of memes or NFTs, whatever you want to call them. And there's 2 series. One's called Piece of Toast. So artists from all over the world are going to be drawing their version of toast in their whatever creative way they can. And then we have the Breadwinners, which is a series of superheroes that are bread or toast version. And we're gonna and 50% of that, the sale of those, is going to go to support people affected by war. So whether that's people in a war zone needing aid, refugees, veterans, we're working with not-for-profits to distribute that money. And then 10% will go to the artists, and then the rest will go just to cover marketing and everything like that. So yeah, like I one of the things that attracted me to Web3 was there is a real desire for the world, or for people within Web3, to change the world, to make it kinder, cleaner, safer, fairer for all. And this is one of our versions of how we're doing that.
That's awesome. Maybe that's something that Kyle can help with. Kyle, from what I've seen, is a master of activations, and maybe you could swing Kennedy to get in on a toast for peace, with everybody.
Yeah.
What say you, Kyle?
I mean, mass activations are like critical, and and any efforts that can be taken towards doing that. But at the end of the day, like, it also comes towards, like, I agree with what Jeff said, in that a lot of people just want to live their lives and and do the best, and enjoy their glass of wine or their beer and their sports game. But until, like, you start getting locked down in your house, until they start experimenting on you, until you see society start getting polarized and ostracized. We got some kids in the background here that it's past their bedtime. And yeah, I mean, this is where, like, it's, they always say it's the most important election of our lifetime. And I don't know. I've just gone full into it, and I wish you guys could see the bus that I'm rocking right now, because it is like really interesting. And I will say that like politics and like campaigns are amazing for community building. Like I've
I
been
think we
able
can
to
see it
draw.
now if you wanted to show us.
Well, I mean, I'd have to like
Oh
if I
yeah, the
were.
Oh, it's dark.
flashlight.
I mean, if you let me share my screen, I could show some stuff if you
Nice.
wanted. But yeah, no, if you check out at Kennedy 24 bus on Instagram, that's where all the kind of the stories are being posted, and
Oh, cool.
we're sharing the journey. And yeah, it's a 36-foot RV that's got a big mural of Bobby on one side. It's got another mural on the other side. It's red, white, and blue. It's very Americana. It's got a big soundbox speaker on top of it, and it's up. It's right up in that in the art drawer.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like and again, I feel like there's an opportunity here with the meme coins, like to create like this third element towards a campaign, which is like in America you've got the campaign itself, which raises money and spends money and gets on all the ballots and opens field offices and has tons of staff and is doing its best and producing lots of content. Then you have the super PACs, which can take in like absurd amounts of money, and generally what they spend is advertising. So like they stock up money for the last kind of 90 days and then just start spending heavy on advertising. And then and then there's the grassroots element, which like Ron Paul, Donald Trump, like they kind of really like even Barack Obama like had very strong kind of grassroots, which is the independent organization, catalyzing action. And and now we have, I feel like the meme tokens kind of enter into that area. And what's interesting about them is anybody can participate in the meme economy. Like all you need
Right.
is all you need is a wallet and some crypto, and then you're in there. And it's not like you're necessarily just making a donation, because when you make a donation, it's like you're not really expecting anything back unless you're making very large donations. In which case, like generally there's you get a seat at the table, or some future favor, or I don't know. There's many things that happen. But with a meme coin, it's like you're kind of liquid. You can kind of get in and out, and and if there's an opportunity for it to to drive community or foment community and do some honestly some radical action that otherwise you might not see. For example, like the Canadian truckers, like them going
Yo,
to
that was
Ottawa,
gangster.
like that was
Yeah.
gangster. And like there's an opportunity like for us to do something similar down here, and like the token might be a piece in helping facilitate and maybe kickstart or bootstrap some people towards getting their vehicles like dialed out, paying for some gas, paying for accommodations. Maybe I was looking at one art car that was just insane. It's the car, it's a Penske truck that's been converted, and it's able to like put on a show for up to 10,000 people, and it takes 30 minutes to set up. So like with that thing, it's like if you've got a convoy with that thing or a caravan with that
Nice.
thing, and you're rolling around America, like tapping in, just like bringing a higher vibration, a higher energy. Those kind of impressions, like people talking marketing, it's just about impressions, and how many impressions it takes. Well, I think there's also like a difference between the quality of an impression, and I personally feel like the impressions that we're generating with this bus by being out here, like like waving, smiling, talking, engaging with people all across the country, is a lot different than just like an attack ad, for example.
All right, well, let
or
me play devil's advocate though, and play
Of
the other
course.
side of it. What like the first? I think the thing that really caught the people's attention on the mainstream was like the 4chan stuff that was starting to come out of crypto with all the bigotry and racist tokens and anti-Semitic, tokens, and as much as we can, gamify, good actions with these, market caps, I feel like there's a serious concern that we should have with the other side of it being bad actions that can be done with, these tokens, or at least like even incentivized. I know it's not something I don't want to manifest anything. Like, talking about it obviously is like putting the energy into it, but it's just something I feel like we should take into serious concern. Is obviously, if there's any technology that can be used for good, it can also be used for bad. And I'm just wondering if maybe Jeff has, an opinion on, like, somebody trying to counter his toast for peace with, like, Molotovs for evil or something,
Yeah, I think the my overarching belief with technology in general is we've learned our lesson with social media, or we should have learned a lesson from social media. If we don't put collectively as a society guardrails in place, there will always be people who misuse the technology. It's the same.
Yeah.
Like nobody would argue, well, let's remove all traffic laws and allow people to drive Formula One cars down Main Street. Like there are rules in place, and
but those rules only apply to poor people. If you're rich, a speed limit don't mean shit if you're rich. Honestly, it's
yeah,
True that.
that's a separate. That's two different. We'll all agree that there should be rules in place, but I think we all agree, other than the uber rich, that the rules should apply equally to everyone. And yeah, I've always thought that the penalties for things like speeding, and like, how many times have you pulled up somewhere and you're trying to find a parking spot, and then there's all these no parking spots, and it's full of $300,000 vehicles, and you're like, yeah, because these people don't give a shit about their a $40 fine, like, or
Right.
whereas everybody else does care. So maybe
Yep.
maybe it needs to be proportionate or something like that. But yeah, like
That's what Switzerland does. So in Switzerland, like they have fines based on your income. So like if you pass,
Yeah.
passing on the right in Switzerland is like a big no. And if you, like, I heard one guy who's like, he was very, very wealthy, and his fine for passing on the right was in the orders of like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, people,
Well
and like,
deserved.
and because otherwise, yeah, if it's just a small fine, it's like no big deal. It doesn't affect, and that then you have, a disproportionate, you have an unfair kind of society. So, I mean, that's one interesting. Switzerland's a great example. They also have direct democracy. So, like, that's where, like, when we're talking about the people in the middle, like, really represent like a super majority, they just want things that make sense. And it's like, we've been polarized by the extreme forces, and it seems now like all the political parties are like very, very extreme. And the purpose of the government was to be representative of the will of the people. But over time, centralized systems become increasingly corrupt and secretive. And, I think we're in this era right now of like, peak centralization within the political parties. And they no longer represent the will of the people whatsoever. So, prior to joining, I mean, I had no interest in being involved with presidential politics or any politician, to be honest. But Bobby really kind of like, caught my attention, and I just had this feeling, I could feel something that was really, really there with him, like a really real genuine spirit was being called at this moment and needed support. So, that's why I threw in with him. But before that, I was looking at, okay, how can we look at decentralized democracy and direct democracy, and recognize that our form, like in Canada and in Australia, there's this Westminster style of government, which is like parties with MPs, and it's very similar, honestly, to the American style. It's a little bit different in flavor and structure, but at the core, it's you needed people to come together in Washington or Ottawa, or I think it's, what is it, Melbourne,
Canberra.
in Canberra in Australia. They need to come together to meet and make decisions, because these rules, these governments were formed in a time when there wasn't the telephone, there wasn't the telegraph, there was like
It has always struck me as rather sadly ironic is that we celebrate innovation in business, in medicine, in technology, all these other examples where we celebrate innovation, but yet what really affects our lives are the social platforms, social and economic and political platforms that really makes a difference in our lives. And yet we still cling to systems that are literally thousands of years old. Yeah. And nobody is willing to look at new, like completely overhauling the system. Like the whole concept of a two-party system is just asinine. You wouldn't run a business with two CEOs, and one of the CEOs would just say, like, every time they say, like, okay, we're going to invest in Europe. No, we're not. We should invest in Asia. If every single thing that the one says, and their whole goal is to make you look bad so they can be the main CEO next time. Or like, imagine running
it's so broken.
Imagine running a football team that had two head coaches. We're gonna run a passing play. No, we're gonna run a running play. Well, how quickly would they get the ball snapped then? Like it's just ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I don't feel like we're too far from having an actual DAO replace the top of the food chain, right? Like a lot of the voting can still be done, but I think there's going to be an AI DAO that's going to replace a lot of this shit, man, that we're voting in for people. We're just going to vote in for code. We're going to replace people with code in probably 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's gonna take some action towards doing that, and there's baby steps that can be taken along the way. And one of them is like, if you are a representative, like give your constituents an app or like a solution, an easy solution for when you vote yes, no, or abstain, because that's basically all you do as a representative is say yes, no, or abstain, and then you maybe sit on some committees. But when it comes down to actual action, it's either yes, no, or abstain. Those are your three options. It's like, but we vote as citizens, we vote in a highly polarized election where we vote for this one representative or this one president, etc. But then once they're elected, then they have all the power, and there's no check and there's no balance. There's no input. You have zero input, and they call this democracy.
It's really interesting here in Australia. They when you vote, you actually vote like depending on the year. But let's say there's 16 candidates, and so you vote for all 16, but you rank them, and it actually factors in how. Like I don't know. Like I don't follow politics that closely, but it actually really like the algorithms work that if one party doesn't get any of the popular vote, because it'll always be either Liberal or Labour, but let's say that there's some thing that you're really interested in, and then it proves out that actually a lot of people voted for like the environmental party or something like that, and so a lot of them voted them as like their third and fourth choice, then they actually get a louder voice than they normally wouldn't. So that's interesting. I think also what really helps here, like my view on government is, I think the government should be like plumbing. It just works, and you never think about plumbing until it goes to shit, literally. but if you never have to think about it, that's when government works well. And one of the big things that Australia is not perfect, but better than most countries at, is removing special interests and money from the whole voting process. And that, I think that's where a lot falls down, is when you have a when you have people within society that have a disproportionate amount of voice because they just happen to be billionaires or CEOs of companies that can that have vested interests, that can pay for their pay their politicians to move in their favor. So that's like, as someone who's not American, but when you watch the U.S. politics from the outside looking in, there are some things that that are head scratchers. But you know why they're happening, but you just go, God, it's so obvious. Get money out of politics. Like that is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
or at
absolutely.
least, or at least make our politicians wear all the logos like a NASCAR driver on their jacket.
Yeah, totally.
yeah,
That would,
Yeah,
I'd
it'd be
settle
interesting.
for that. They could keep their money. Just let me know who's giving it to you.
yeah, it would make the debate really interesting. It's like, yeah, before I get into this, we had an awesome debate today. You know, the team over at Chevrolet and Penske, they're just fantastic.
That's what I mean.
I gotta
It
give a
feels like
shout
we
out
are
to the
headed
guys
to
at Castrol.
idiocracy at the truest core, and I feel like, you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned, like, plumbing, right? Like, once this becomes ubiquitous, it will be as boring as talking about plumbing, though. That's the problem. I hope mainstream adoption takes long enough that I still get to go to conferences for crypto, because there's no conferences for plumbing. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't that cool once it is mainstream adopted and ubiquitous, and it's so easy nobody thinks about it till it does go to shit. But yeah, I hope it takes a while, because once it gets there, it will be boring to talk about. Right now, this is probably one of the most exciting technological times of history, really. I mean, we got like sliced bread, the light bulb, and fucking blockchain, dude, and we were here for it.
That's hilarious.
That's right.
What's exciting is that there's just there's just a disruptive voice within Web3 and crypto that I've said this before. Like, I view Web3 and what we've gone through over the last kind of 6-7 years, what's still happening. I see it closer to the anti-war, anti-establishment, civil rights movements of the 60s than it is to the dot-com boom. I think there's a lot of financial speculation, absolutely. A lot of people getting rich, a lot of people losing a lot of money. But underneath all that, if you look at the hood, under the hood, there's a lot of people who really want to change the world. And regardless of what political system you support or who's running for president or who's not, there's just a recognizing of of that things got to change. We can't keep going like this. And my optimism is that a lot of this polarization is actually a lot of conversations that are happening now that should have happened hundreds of years ago. And there's a lot of people just going, nah, fuck that. We're not doing this way anymore. Like, I'm not buying into this. Just because you're rich, you get away with shit. And just because I'm poor, I have to work as a slave. That nobody's buying into that anymore.
Yeah, I think crypto is definitely helping out with that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just saying the conditions are changing too. Like, we're in an age shift right now. Like, the systems that got us, to here are, becoming more and more, or becoming less and less relevant. And we got to start thinking about the new and novel approaches, because with the AI revolution coming in fast, with the realization that our entire monetary system is kind of like a debt slavery system. Like, it's just not serving us. There are other options, and when there becomes it just feels like there is this opportunity now to really change, to change directions here. And so it's time for new models.
I agree. I read a really interesting article right around the Clinton Trump election, Brexit. There were a number of other really polarizing things happening, and the article was written by he's a sociologist from it was one of the Boston schools, so like MIT or Harvard, or can't remember which one. And he was arguing that we're not approaching a new era of really bad shit. We're ending 1,000-year era of really bad shit. And all this disruption and polarization and anger and emotion is because things that needed to be talked about and changed and addressed years ago, it's all coming to fruition now, for a number of factors that I'm not an expert, but it's just you got a few generations since the 60s. You got people who just don't believe in archaic principles that used to be. We got technology that allows us to communicate a lot faster and share ideas. So all sorts of reasons why it's happening. But in the words of Mr. Dillon, the times they are changing. There's no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Everything's changing, especially with, the advent of all this technology tied to, the financial world, especially specifically because it's the first time it's ever really happened this way. I mean, yeah, you had credit cards, you had all this cool stuff, the internet, but I think, the way blockchain and crypto is tying into financial is definitely something very different, and, could be used, for all sorts of things. So, Jeff, what do you think? Like, they've got the Kennedy movement. They're using the Bobby token. What do you think the meme tokens could be? How they could they be used to help Kyle with Kennedy, and maybe get more third parties to get attention? Sort of as like a movement. Just kind of how like you got Banksy with graffiti, and you got some movements that have some type of propaganda tied to it. But not saying that this is propaganda, but you know what I mean. Like how can we use meme tokens to kind of bring more parties like this attention into the politics?
Yeah, it's not a space that I'm that well versed in, and I'm with the Laughing Otter, we're trying to stay very much middle of the road with anything that we're doing, not affiliating to any political system or religion or anything like that. But I just overarching, I just think that that crypto, memes, tokens, all those kind of things, what it does, regardless of what you believe in, it does create an opportunity to bring similar minded people together and create a movement. It just depends what you choose that movement to be. Our focus is on making the world happier. We're starting with the next thing we're rolling out there is Toast for Peace. I think most people can agree that they don't want to send their kids to die because some dickhead wanted his name in the history books or wanted to oppose their will on others. So we need to really address that. One other thing that I really love about crypto, and one of the first things that attracted me to Web3, is for those who are under the poverty line, this is one of the few options they have, if any others, or if not the only one, where they can generate personal wealth through micro investments. And so if you're someone um, living in South America and you're making $100 a month, then if the NFT that you bought for $1 and it goes up to $10, that's a significant portion of like percentage of your monthly salary. So that's a big deal. And then to be able to save a little bit of that and then put it in, and then that's something, as a someone who lives in Australia or Canada, I have numerous investment options that are safe and secure. And whereas there's a huge part of this world that doesn't have those options, and doesn't have that financial voice. And that's what I like about crypto is that ability to give people buying power, ability to create personal wealth, and eventually some financial stability in areas where that just doesn't exist.
My favorite's the permissionlessness and disruption. So I can, without your permission, take your, toast for peace concept and do a fork of it and do toast for chaos. Yeah. I love crypto, but yeah, I mean that's the thing is like to just have fun with it. I think, and like sort of I guess like what Miggy was getting at is the opportunity for having the Banksy moment or opportunity for that in this situation. And I wonder, maybe Kyle, have you saw any looking at the meme token stuff coming in for like Kennedy Jr., is there anything like Banksy-esque is like political art that you're seeing, or is that just like like is that not like meme culture-esque political art not really a thing?
Well, I mean, I think memes are like, a huge thing. And I think like, the just like, no, like forget meme tokens for a minute, but just memes, like, a good meme has the power to, to go viral and disrupt, very expensive propaganda campaigns. So, there's like, that we're, as Marshall McLuhan said, like, World War III is a guerrilla information war where there's no delineation between military and civilian. And, I think mimetic warfare it's kind of on right now. And, we're seeing it full fledged. And a lot of the mimetic stuff is really, it's like, you can get across so much information in a picture with a couple words on it, like, just the raw meme format. And, there's definitely a bunch of those. I mean, Trump was very, very like, employed a whole squad, the Dilly meme team, Dilly War Room, or I think it's what called, something like that. Anyways, they're just making savage memes all the time, like really kind of aggressive, pretty negative. But, I guess people like that. And that's one of the challenges about trying to keep like, a high vibration. It's like, it's so alluring. It's, very alluring to get, dirty or nasty or like, snipe or
Toxic,
jab.
yeah, trolling and,
like,
toxicity. Yeah, it's definitely more.
like
It's easier to go there.
lulls. And
It's
like,
low hanging fruit. That's why.
it's low hanging fruit. And like, and that's one of the things I kind of admire about Bobby is like he's setting a very high standard for like, for like composure and engagement. And it's like he's not attacking, like, Biden is rife with opportunities to just shred him every day if you wanted, but he's not doing that. It's like, yeah, he doesn't believe he's like qualified for the job, and his policies are out to lunch. But it's same with Trump a little bit. But it's trying to like win on ideas and like reigniting like the progressive like prosperous like America that that was and that really is, and moving beyond this toxic polarization and this it's the culture that's not really serving, because most people aren't down with that. And I see that everywhere. Like I just see good people everywhere. Like I've been driving, I've touched so many people over the last year, it's frankly like it's kind of insane. I gotta kind of protect the energy, but like we're seeing so many people, and I've just witnessed it clearly that people are just like they want to believe, they know that there's so much goodness out there, and people generally are good people. So but that doesn't really answer the question of what am I seeing. Like I see my art car, like what I'm doing here. This is really interesting, and I know there's more of these that are popping up too. And I've seen other artists like coming, being creative. I was just with this regenerative farming group that's looking at like really, and I got a crash course in regenerative farming, which is really interesting, and about like food sustainability. And one of the initiatives that's coming out of the Kennedy Victory Gardens, which is encouraging people to plant gardens and start growing their own food. And like taking those micro actions, or like doing the Kennedy 24, do 24 pull-ups. Like Bobby himself, 70 years old, can do 24 pull-ups in a row. Like
I don't think I can do 20. I don't think I can do 10. Really, I don't think I can do 10.
I don't think you can do 5, Ken.
Nope, I am super duper out of shape. I really should get in on this. I should. Like, that's a movement I need to get on.
You should get in on it. Just like just do it. Like maybe by November 5th, you got 148 days to get 24.
Nice. I'll do it. Tell them to follow me back on Twitter, and I'll do it.
There we go.
Like, I need the motivation.
I'll do it every day. I'll do till Key wins.
You miss one day, he'll block you and never unblock you,
and put me on the FBI list.
and I feel like you will do that, and it's like and more people like that raw discipline of like taking positive action, and it's like as more people like getting like choose to through micro actions, like I'm the extreme case here, like taking the family on the road across America, like this isn't something everybody can do, but there's literally micro actions that everybody can take in their life, to participate and to be involved. And at the end of the day, this is community. And like, coming from Web3, like the three of you guys are community builders. And like, this is just building a community like, with civic purpose and civic engagement, and it's being radically expressive in the ways that we operate, and radically inclusive. Like, I just see so many different people of all shapes and stripes, and creating a container that everyone can be a part of, and and this encouraging people to participate and take immediate action versus like waiting for some moment down the road. It's like there's little micro actions that we can do all the time.
Yeah. And it's a pretty big action though. I don't see any presence from any other side of the the coin to say, and I guess it's at the moment it feels more like a 3-sided token, right? But like, no, like neither side of those parties are represented at any, conference I've ever been to, and to see, and I guess like third party representation has kind of always been around in crypto, because like, first, we had, what was it? Brock Pierce was running, and then John McAfee. So, like, crypto always had that, like, energy to, like, push people that were in crypto to the political world. But I feel like this is the first time crypto is kind of sucking, political energy in with Kennedy. So, it was just... I don't know,
and Bobby's showing up and speaking everywhere.
Yeah,
Bobby's
and to see him there it's big. Like, it means a lot. I see it. I see he's Denver and in Austin, all the different energy that you guys get is, and it's
he keynote cool. Bobby keynoted a white label conference in Vegas a couple weeks ago, like literally white labeling products, like physical good products. Like, I mean, it's so bizarre, but again, that's a lot of people that are there, and tapping in and listening and understanding, the challenges. And that's one of the things is like, man, you should check out his podcast. He's done like, over I think 170 episodes now, of long form interview, like podcasts with world leaders on all different, or not world leaders, but with leading experts from so many different disciplines. And like, just the amount of information that, he's kind of been able to take in, that's kind of someone that, I feel is there. And he also like, he's not an expert when it comes to crypto, but he's getting really good
Yeah.
advice and getting good people around him. And at the end of the day, like, the president's only as good as the men around him, the men and women
Right.
around him. So it's like, again, there's this opportunity, to step up and to, get involved. And like, if there's something that you don't like in the world, like, criticize by creating, take
Do
action,
something about it.
do something about it.
For real.
Exactly.
I think
And
this is
like,
a good moment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish up.
no, it's all good, and it doesn't need, and you don't need to set the bar like insanely high either. It's like micro actions, like
Yeah.
set something that you're going to accomplish and feel good about the accomplishments along the way, and don't worry about the destination necessarily. Enjoy the journey, because the world, it's always a journey. The destination, the goalposts are always going to move.
Man, I wish I would have asked to wrap this up before you said that, because that sounded like a good way to wrap things up. But we are at the top of the hour, so I guess if
Let's
you
wrap
guys
it.
if you guys want to, let the community know your last thoughts, any final words or any future plans, we'll start with you, Jeff, and then we'll get to you, Kyle.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll end all this. We went a lot more political than I thought we were going to go, which is all good. I just encourage people to don't hate. Your neighbor is exactly like you. It doesn't matter what flag they're flying or what political party they're supporting. They just want to get through the day, and so don't hate. And related to that is, regardless of where you get your media or where you consume your knowledge, question everything that you read and everything that you hear. Fact check it, and then use your goddamn head. If it doesn't smell right, it probably isn't. There's a brilliant concept called Occam's razor, which is basically, if there's an outcome and there's two potential reasons for that outcome, the one that's the simplest is the most likely. So use your head when assessing things. What makes the most sense if you step away with unbiased? So have fun. Check out the Laughing Otter. Watch for Toast for Peace. We got a lot of really exciting things happening. Join our Discord. Follow us on Twitter. And we're just here to make the world a lot happier and have a lot more fun. Because here's my real final thought. Life doesn't have to be this fucking hard. We have enough for everybody, and we all should be just having fun and getting along and just focusing our energy on just making the world better rather than all the shit that should have been put to bed 5,000 years ago.
Yes, we are literally living in paradise, but we can't enjoy it because we're too busy with all the BS. Kyle, what's on your mind?
Well put.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You can, like, it's a mindset thing. If you're depressed and freaked out and scared, like, it's going to be a freaky, scary, depressing world. But if you look at the positives and, like, shift that vibration, you're there. But it's not an easy thing. It's easy to say that, but it's not an easy thing to do. I think there's a lot of personal work that people can do. There's a lot of trauma in society. One of my favorite prayers is the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is 4 simple lines. So you say, "I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm thankful, and I love you." And you should say that first to yourself and forgive yourself for the shit that you've done over the course of your life, and forgive yourself and release yourself from that trauma or those negative energies. Be grateful to yourself and love yourself. And then you can use that as well to heal relationships with others. We've gone through a very chaotic last 4 years that's been insanely divisive. And, there's a real opportunity for healing. So the words of Ho'oponopono are kind of important. And then the other way is, like, how do you foster radical collaboration as well? And, oftentimes people ask, like, it's like, I used to ask people, like, how can I help you? and or people might ask how they can help me, and that's kind of a tough question. I think a better question to ask people, like especially if you're engaging with neighbors or really anybody, is like, what are you working on? What do you care about? What are you passionate about? Because people will be much more aligned. Like, what are your current goals that you're working towards? If they share that, then you might be able to understand like how you may be able to participate and help them. And similarly, if you share with them what you're working on, like, Ken, what are you working on right now? What are the current milestones? Like, what are you trying to achieve over the next little bit?
I'm working on Elemental Souls, a kids